Most people associate cream of celery soup with the condensed canned version, which is rather unappealing and used mostly as a base for casseroles. Moreover, usually when you think of celery, you think of a bland, if not tasteless, vegetable. So it's not surprising that people don't immediately think of making soup from celery. But in fact, celery can be used to make a very nice soup, which is quite delicious when served warm, and moreover can be very refreshing when served cold on a warm summer day. So what we're going to need is some chicken broth, half and half, onion, a leek, some celery, a little bit of butter, and a garlic clove. So the first thing we're going to do is cut the vegetables. And there's nothing magical about the proportion that I'm using here. But it is cream of celery soup, so the majority of the vegetables will be celery. But I'm going to use 1 clove of garlic that's just going to be roughly chopped. About a half of an onion, again roughly chopped. And then for the celery, I'm using one entire bunch of celery. And I'm going to cut that bunch in half. Because half of it I'm just going to chop roughly. And the other half I'm going to mince more finely, because the part that's roughly chopped is going to go into the pan to make the broth. And then finally I'm using 1 leek, which is just going to be cut up, again roughly chopped. And if you're not familiar with how you clean and cut leeks, I've done a separate video on that, and I'll put the link in the description for that. Now I'm going to the stove, and I'm going to add all of the vegetables except for the celery that was finely chopped into the saucepan with a couple of tablespoons of butter. And I'm just going to saute these vegetables for 2 to 3 minutes, just until they begin to sweat. Then I'm going to add just enough stock to the pan that the vegetables are completely covered. And I'm going to let these simmer for 20-30 minutes until the vegetables are thoroughly cooked through. And then when the vegetables are cooked, I'm going to put the finely chopped celery into another pan and just add enough broth to cover them. And I'm going to cook these for about 2 to 3 minutes, just so they're no longer raw, but I still want them to be crunchy. Now I've allowed the vegetables to cool slightly, and so I'm going to puree all of the vegetables except for the finely chopped celery. And I have an immersion blender. I'm going to use that because it's a lot easier. If you don't have an immersion blender, you can just use the regular blender. And then once everything is blended, I'm going to just add some cream. In this case, half and half. You can use cream half and half, or just milk. Stir that around, and then I'm going to pour in the finely chopped celery and season with salt and pepper. And that's all there is to it.